The winter of 1917 settled upon the Western Front, not with the clean white silence of a fairy tale, but with a grey, relentless, soaking damp that turned earth into a viscous, grasping tomb. This was the Ypres salient, a low, scarred landscape where memory struggled to breathe. Our focus falls upon a man, barely a man, Lance Corporal Arthur Penhaligon, 20 years of age, yet possessing the eyes of a very old cartographer, tracing maps of loss. He sits hunched in the belly of a trench they called the Dragon's Spine, the air thick with the metallic tang of cordite and the sweet cloying scent of decay. He has salvaged a stump of pencil and a fragile tea-stained sheet of paper. A sacred parchment in this inferno. The camera, in this moment, would push close, not to the mud-caked uniform, but to the delicate, almost defiant movement of his hand. He is not cleaning a rifle. He is weaving a lifeline. He is writing to Eleanor, the girl whose laughter still echoed in the sunnier, impossible geometry of his mind. The girl who waited by the slate-grey sea of Cornwall. He writes not of the rats, the shelling, or the pervasive gut-deep fear. The censors would drown those truths in red ink anyway. Instead, he speaks of a future so vivid it feels like a memory. A small cottage with a low green door, a garden where the peas would grow high, and the quiet, uncomplicated blessing of watching the tide come in. He writes of forgiveness, too, a silent plea for a foolish argument they had over a dance, a triviality now vast as a mountain range. He writes with a terrible crystalline clarity, "The war has taught me, Ellie, that the only thing which matters, the only thing worth the blood and the mud, is the simple, unspent chance to be kind." The final line, penned beneath a sky of indifferent, churning cloud, is a solemn vow. "I am coming home, hold the light." This letter, heavy with the unburdened soul of a young man facing the infinite, was entrusted to a dispatch runner, a wiry fellow named Thomas, who vanished into the early morning mist toward the rear lines, carrying with him the fragile promise of Arthur's survival. But fate, in the salient, was less a grand force and more a chance alignment of indifferent particles. A sudden, unregistered mortar shell, a casualty of statistical noise, found its mark on a quiet patch of communication trench near a broken farmhouse. It was not a grand cinematic explosion, but a sharp, localized violence. The letter, sealed within its envelope, slipped from Thomas's breast pocket, descending through the churned-up clay and splintered duckboards, settling finally, gently, beneath a fallen beam, where the earth immediately began its slow, suffocating work of reclaiming it. Arthur himself, 2 days later, led a charge across a ribbon of desolate ground, a desperate, ill-conceived movement that gained 30 yards of worthless mud before stalling in a torrent of machine-gun fire. His story ended there, in the sudden, silent shock of oblivion. His last thought, perhaps, not of Eleanor, but of the simple, aching hope that his message, his last testament to human kindness, had somehow survived him. Decades passed. The scars of the war healed into rolling, innocuous fields. The trenches became subtle dips and rises, pockets of memory in the landscape's skin. The old farmhouse, long ago pulverized, was rebuilt, a new generation living over the scattered wreckage of the old. It is now the summer of 1978. A Belgian farmer, ploughing a deeper-than-usual furrow to prepare a field for sugar beets, feels a gentle, grating resistance against the steel. He stops his tractor. He bends down and retrieves a small, rectangular object, a sodden, petrified envelope preserved by the anoxic clay, sealed forever by the compression of time. He handles it with a farmer's reverence for the past, brushing away the 70-year-old mud. The ink is faint, the paper brittle, but Arthur Penhaligon's elegant script is still faintly visible, a ghost of hope on the ruined page. The farmer does not know the soldier, nor the girl, but as he stands in the silent field, beneath the high, indifferent sun, holding this preserved relic, this single voice crying out from the abyss of a lost century, he becomes a witness to the silence he is holding, not just a letter, but the accumulated weight of every unsaid word, every fragile connection severed by the chaotic violence of man. This message, filled with forgiveness and the blueprint for a simple, bright future, finally reaches the light, but it is too late for the hands that penned it, and too late for the eyes that were meant to read it. The ending is not a reunion, but a silent testament to the vast, insurmountable distance between intention and reality. Arthur's words, found now by a stranger, become a monument to the millions of truths that the war stole, leaving behind only the echo of what could have been. A low green door, a patch of sun-warmed earth, and the quiet blessing of 2 lives, unspent. His message never reached the trenches, nor the woman he loved. It waited instead for history, a preserved teardrop of hope, to mourn the silence it could not break.